you're like one of the original, like, obviously I've been friends with Geordie for, that's got to be 14 years or something, 15 years. And I sort of connected to you through him ages ago. You were like one of his cool friends.
For sure. Thank you.
And then as like my trajectory in trucking sort of progressed, and, you know, you've always been that 2 degrees of separation away. So and then like
a lot of alignment going on.
Yeah. And then we started talking like properly, catching up for coffee, just doing the thing probably 4 years ago?
Yeah, it would have been when we were doing the Cow for Cancer project. I think that's when our relationship sort of kicked off.
Yeah.
And we took that cow all around the country, raising money for Solaris Cancer Care. And obviously we got you on board to do the merch line for us.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably the first real job that and probably engagement that we had with one another, I think, mate.
I think it's I think there's this, what would you call it? Young people in business is an easy categorization, I guess. It's like people who are young, have an interest in business, have a business, or have that aspiration to do something a bit more. Because I think business is just a good metaphor for like almost personal growth. I tend to find that as my business grows, I grow, and vice versa. The people that I find the most amount of relatability to are young people that, when I say young, I'm going to say sub 40, have that like intention to just, you know, what else can we do? What else is possible? Where can I go? Where can I take this? And business is a really good vehicle for it.
For sure.
And you're in a position where you sort of fit into that category.
Yep.
And I would say, like Geordie, you're a certain amount of steps ahead of me. So it's sort of cool to...
Thank you for the compliment. Appreciate it. But yeah.
I think being able to have people like you and Geordie in my life where we can sit down and I'm like, this is what I'm going through at the moment, or here's my latest thing that I've achieved, or here's what I'm sort of like stewing on. Tell me what you think. You know, it's such a like, especially in Bunbury, it's a benefit.
Yeah. Look, if you look at a lot of any age demographic, there's a lot of successful people that have come out of this place. A lot of people that want to drive change, a lot of successful business owners, and a lot of people that actually care for the place that we live in.
Yeah.
So I think we're in a good place to be able to bounce ideas off one another. Both me and you and people like Geordie and even some of the older crew. Some of my best mates are over the age of 50, mate. So to me, age isn't really a thing that I go by. It's do me and you get on, and what have you been through in your life, and is that where the connection lays?
Yeah. Yeah, I should probably footnote this with I have an odd experience or like sample pool because I have these long form conversations typically with people who have some sort of achievement or interesting part about them, and that usually falls into the business thing again. And the reason that I bring age into it is because I think there's a threshold where people turn into sharks and they go, this is my information and no one else's. And unless you're close to me, this is my information.
Kind of old school mentality, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yep. Yeah, well, people get very protective.
Yeah.
And some people get threatened with change and the new generation coming up. But I think you need to embrace that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you used to drive trucks.
Yeah, back in the day.
That's crazy.
Done it all.
So for full transparency, you took me through MGM. Well, actually, let's just back up a little bit more. For the sake of the listener, you are one of the people of MGM. I worded that terribly. Friday afternoon, sorry.
Family member, yep. 3rd generation family business.
In MGM.
MGM Bulk, yep. So Bulk Haulage Transport Company right here in Bunbury.
Right. MGM's original roots obviously are as Giacci Bros back in the day.
Yep.
Which I feel like I have some weird connection to, given that when we moved to Bunbury when I was 10 years old, my dad's first job was driving trucks for Giacci's.
Yep, exactly.
My mum also worked in the office she worked in the office, I don't know, for years as well.
So I didn't know that. I thought it was just your dad, but that's cool.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Like, we were like a fucking Giacci family.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, dude, really cool.
Yeah. So, and then years later, I ended up working for Cube. I was driving, I was doing courier work and then wanted to drive road trains, and Cube were like, if you get your MC, we'll chuck you in a truck and do the thing. And obviously Cube bought Giacci out.
2012.
Right.
2012, 2014, 2012.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, 13 years ago?
Yeah, yep.
And being like, I mean, a lot of the trucks that I drove, the trailers, you could still see Giacci written under the paint.
Mate, still today you can.
Yeah.
Still today. Everything was painted back then, and that colourway and that Giacci brand was so iconic for anyone that sort of had an interest for trucks or construction equipment. We had trucks all across the state.
Yep.
Very big business back then. And I mean, when Cube came in and did the takeover, they were sort of, they had to obviously rebrand, but they just essentially didn't paint the gear, or some of it anyway. They just sticker bombed it and just put wraps over the top. And there's still some gear getting around today with either Giacci mud flaps on it, or you can still see the iconic white and green Giacci sort of embossed under their vinyl wrap Cube sticker now. So you still see some gear out there.
Crazy, hey?
And even if you go into like some of the old country towns, you might see an old Giacci loader parked in the back paddock rusting away, or mate, trucks out in the middle of nowhere. Even stuff that's over east. We had obviously operations over there as well, and ran some mine sites, and we were heavily tied up in the ports in Adelaide and Queensland. And mate, I get photos from people all the time of just gear that's just rusting out in some old farmer's back paddock, and you're just like, shit, it's everywhere, mate. It's cool.
So talk to me about the trajectory of Giacci's from its birth to getting sold or taken over by Cube.
Yeah, probably don't have enough time, but look, I'll definitely touch on it. So look, my grandfather fled the war in Italy. Funny enough, he lives in the town opposite to where Geordie's grandfather lives in the Abruzzo region. So he's from a little town in Sant'Angelo de Grotte.
Okay.
And Geordie's grandfather is in Roccamandolfi. So picture like two big hills in a valley.
Yeah.
My grandfather's on one, and you got the valley in the middle, and Geordie's is on the other. So obviously there was a lot of migrants back in the day that came across into Australia, and my grandfather was one of them. And some of his family were already here at that time, and he came across when he was 15 years old, and still sometimes talks about planes going over his head as a kid, and bombs going off, and Americans coming in there and helping feed him and give him water and food and shelter, because he reckons as a kid back then when the war was going on, was pretty hairy, mate. And so they obviously got out, and him and his brothers and family and all of that, and came across here. And his eldest brother, he was already in the business, or had one truck at that time. And and
you say one truck, that's like one prime mover, or like a rigid?
Well, it was all rigids back then. There was no such thing as semis back then. So we're talking like the 50s, right? So everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So everything would have been just a flat top truck with, and you would have had to, back in the day, they shoveled the material into the back of the truck, drove it to the location, and shoveled it off. There was no such thing as hydraulics to tip these things up, or loaders to come and load them, mate. That was before any of that even existed.
Hectic.
So he started. Well, he didn't start it, but his brother essentially had one truck, and my grandfather then he came and bought one truck, and it was before it was Giacci Brothers. It was called A&M Giacci.
Okay.
My grandfather's eldest brother Anthony and my grandfather Mario, so formed A&M Giacci, and then they worked on the main roads and probably outworked a lot of people that had businesses back then. I mean, you hear of stories of Italian immigrants either in school or in business were not liked and weren't treated very well. And so it was very hard for them. So you have to work twice as hard just to get a leg up. And
interesting.
So I mean, they ran that business for many years, and then my grandfather's other brother Peter, he then came in and joined it, and that's when it went from A&M Giacci's to Giacci Brothers. So it was the three brothers that essentially
Peter, Mario, Tony.
Yeah.
Right.
And so three brothers pretty much started that business, and they were based in Picton and working down at Greenbushes and working on helping construction up in Perth, developing Graham Farmer Bridge, and they were some of the first trucks on site there and the last trucks to leave on some of these big infrastructure projects that we don't necessarily think about but are here today and we use. Look, that business probably in a 50-year period grew from the three brothers, and I think at their peak they sort of had 500-600 employees and contracts all around Australia, mainly in WA, Geraldton, Adelaide, Queensland. Had a lot of the ports tied up. A lot of the port work was tied up with them. Had a whole range of in-house quarries and things like that. And, like I was mentioning to you before, sometimes in family business there's conflict and there's tension and, one party might want to go this way and the other party wants to go the other way. And without getting too deep into it, there's a few fallouts that happened. And one of those fallouts was my grandfather leaving the company in sort of around 2000 or late 90s. And so he formed a new company called MGM. It was originally called MGM Limestone with
the blocks.
Yes, yeah. So he didn't really. He sort of wasn't really a part of Giacci's at that period. So he left, and so did my mother, and so did my uncle Michael.
Yep.
They left that company and started a new company called MGM Limestone. Now MGM stands for Mario, my grandfather, Judita, who is my mother, G, and then my uncle Michael, who you met yesterday.
Wow. Okay.
So the MGM stands for the three initials of the father and his two children.
Yep.
So we got into essentially in 2004, started a business called MGM Limestone, and we were specialising in reconstituted limestone blocks. And we had a couple of quarries in-house that was producing that. And if you look at is it Kwinana Freeway, the one from Bunbury to Perth? Is that is that what it's called? Yeah,
no, Forest Highway to Kwinana.
Forest Highway, sorry, thank you. I don't know, you probably don't see it anymore because it's overgrown, but we essentially won the contract to develop all the limestone block retaining walls. Yep.
Wow.
So they were all out of our pit, and we produced all those blocks here in Picton.
Yep.
And like we ran that business up until 2021. It was a hard business. It was a lot of infrastructure, a lot of people, very little revenue. So eventually we ended up cutting that business off. But what essentially happened is Cube came in and they essentially wanted to have the monopoly in Australia of all the ports.
Right.
And, Giacci's had a lot of the port contracts tied up across Australia.
Yeah.
So they were never really into the transport business. They just wanted to have the monopoly in Australia on the ports.
And of course, Cube because there's Cube ports and Cube transport.
For sure.
So it wasn't even really the port. It was an extension of the port being the transport from.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've done a lot of takeovers, and a lot of those takeovers have, big transport divisions tied up, and those transport divisions might have really secure and long-term port contracts.
Yep.
So this is my theory on their business model. I'm sure there's other people out there that say, mate, you may be way off, but if you look at strategically how they've been as a business, they have bought companies out that have owned port contracts, and it's not like they just want to come in and just take those contracts. So you got to buy the whole business, right?
Yeah.
So they came to us at a time where there was a lot of family conflict going on with the company. My grandfather was invited back in by one of the company directors, and they tried to sort of save it and salvage it to some degree because it was sort of going down the path. Well, receivers did come in, so it was managed at one point really poorly. And my grandfather and the other brother came back in and tried to sort of salvage it, and I guess Cube sort of came knocking at some point and offered a pretty crazy number.
Yeah.
And, moments like that don't ever really come around.
Yeah.
We didn't go looking for it. And then if you look at, my grandfather and my uncle Peter, they were probably getting to the point of their life. Well, Peter was. He was ready to sort of retire, and he probably had enough. So 2012 came by and they sort of sold the company, and my grandfather's not really the type to sit still. He's 88 years old and still comes to work every day, and he just, could have taken the buyout, the payout, the money, and gone and lived a life and
live on the yacht.
But mate, that's not him. He could, even if you chat to him today, like people say, Murray, you could have got a caravan, you could have had, could have been on holidays, and he could not think of anything worse, mate.
Yeah.
He is still physically works every day, still chops all his firewood, still goes out to all of his, all of his sites and checks in, make sure the people are cleaning the trucks and
Unreal.
The loaders are kept clean. So he's got purpose, mate, and his purpose to wake up each day and live for something, not just like put your feet up and retire, was more of a driving factor for him. So
that goes back to what I said before about that the sort of person who wants to know how far can we go.
Yeah.
You know, like what if I do this again? What if we do it differently this time? What if I wake up an hour earlier? What if we hire more people? All
Big
those
time.
what ifs that just add up to like it's that like, I don't know. It's a beautiful drive, and I know as like an aspiring young up and coming business owner, I see it in kids that are just starting that are 5 years behind me. I'm like, oh, there's a real one, you know?
Well, because you can pick it.
Yeah,
Mate, especially in the young ones, you can pick the ones that are determined to work and to grow and are inquisitive to start developing that entrepreneurial mindset. And you can see the ones that are just, going to be probably problemed employees later on in life.
Let me stop you right there. Did you know that today's podcast is proudly brought to you by Barloo Coffee Bar? They're located at 62A Beach Road, and they are my favorite local coffee shop in town. And I'm not just saying that because they pay to be on the podcast. I'm saying that because I go there every damn day. Barloo is a super fun, super community-based spot that is always popping off every morning. They got really cool hangout areas both inside and outside. They've got great coffee. They've got a great team. And I really, really like their brekkie wraps and their toasted halloumi and roasted pumpkin sandwich. It's an awesome lunch treat. We're also teamed up this month with a collaborative t-shirt. I've made a super cool illustration of their shop front and printed it on a tee. It looks really cool. They've got them for sale in store, and they're also available on my website. So jump on and check them out and get one for yourself if you want to be a part of the scene. Anyway, let's get back to the podcast.
Yeah. Mate, that's what happened. And sort of we had a non-compete clause that was put on us in 2012, meaning we couldn't go into any bulk haulage.
Was that a time period?
Yeah, that was. I think it was like 2 or 3 years that they put on us.
Yep.
So we were MGM Limestone up until 2014. And when that non-compete clause got lifted, we rebranded as MGM Bulk, and we focused on what our core business was, which was bulk haulage and transport.
Yeah.
And a bit of mining and a bit of port. And we thought that's where we need to transition into. I mean, we had 50 odd years of experience playing in that space. And so once that non-compete clause got lifted, we rebranded as MGM Bulk. Had a bit of financial backing now, and we could sort of make some moves to help us sort of grow into the company that we are today.
So is MGM exclusively mineral sands?
No, MGM is bulk haulage. MGM is storage.
Because you do bags of stuff as well.
Yeah, so we store all of Aluka's activated carbon bags here in Picton. So we store
I personally bag like 10,000 of those myself.
Well, you'd be familiar with that. Yeah, so we don't do the bagging. They do it out on site. We just manage all their transport, storage, and then work with their shipping orders to, deliver them up to Fremantle Port and get them packed into containers and things like that. That's one contract, one contract. But we specialize in all sorts of fields, mainly mine site to port, or mine site to storage to port.
Yep.
And we also have a whole range of in-house quarries as well, where we produce premium products like crushed limestone and gravel and sand deposits that go into road developments and subdivisions and things like that.
Yeah. So how does that work? And also, I don't know what the limit of questions that I can ask here is, because obviously there's probably some stuff that you can't or don't want to talk about on a podcast. So just, if you don't want to answer, tell me. Do you own the quarry, or do you own the contract to mine and process the stuff from the quarry?
No, we own the land.
Right.
Own the contract to mine.
And that's how that sort of thing works, is it?
Mind you, some of our recent quarries that we have, we might do an agreement with the landowner, and we'll pay them a tonnage rate. Right. So, we'll go in there, they might already have pre-approval to go in there and mine. And if that's the case, then they'll engage with someone like us who has all the right equipment and the tooling and the processes and the systems in place, and also the haulage.
Yep.
So some land we own, probably half of it we own. And then we've also got some land where we've done deals with, farmers or big landowners, and we go in, we mine it, we haul it, and we just pay them a royalty on each ton that once that leaves that gate.
Wow.
Yep. And
so what sort of like amount of space would MGM own as far as land's concerned?
Okay, so I don't know how to probably tell you exactly, but MGM doesn't own the land, so we've obviously got family trusts that own the land, and then we'll rent it back to MGM Bulk. So in terms of, we'll have another company that'll go out and purchase the land.
Yeah,
we'll develop purpose-built workshops on that land, and then we'll rent it back to MGM Bulk.
Yep.
We've just about to move in and transition into our 220-room camp up in Port Hedland. Now that land, we'd cut a deal with the Port Hedland Airport, and we own that land and that camp for I forgot what the number was. Call it 99 years.
Yeah.
So there's times where you'll like quarrying activities or like the camp, you'll lean on people and you'll do like a lease on that land for like 99 years.
Right.
You don't ever own it, but then we also do have quite a big land portfolio that is our own land that we use as well, and that sort of helps fund and get funding from the banks, as a bit of a safety net. If we need
for sure
50 new trucks, or if we need to build something, we can use those land deposits as security, I guess.
It's crazy. I guess this is like the fruits of a third generation of being in the same business with the same interest, with the same direction the whole time.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you mentioned a lot yesterday. I was going to say before I tripped myself over, I went and had a look through your operational area, which is fucking massive.
Yeah.
And just
it's growing.
Yeah, it's so cool,
Yeah.
And one of the things that you kept mentioning was like specialist equipment, so stuff that you've built and designed around the task that it's set to do.
Yeah.
So like that is such a like level 100 type thing to go like, okay, you've got this job, we're going to build trucks and trailer setups and
purpose built for the job.
Right. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, look, since we're very selective with who we work with now. We've sort of built the company to a point where we can sort of pick and choose who we're going to work with. And, we're only going to partner with people where we can build long-term relationships with them. And a lot of the work that we do, we kind of look at ourselves as a bit of a tier one specialized bulk haulage company.
Yep.
So, the work that we take, we've sort of phased the ad hoc work out.
Yep.
Like I told you yesterday, like Johnny picking up the phone and saying, hey, I need 5 loads of sand delivered to my house because I'm building a slab or building whatever. We've sort of transitioned a bit away from that, and we're just focusing now on contractual work that may run for 3 to 5 years. Work that's probably not going to pay as much as these ad hoc jobs that come in, but you've got a steady flow of cash flow coming in every week. You know what you're getting paid.
Yeah.
So you build the gear out for that, and okay, well, in this 3 to 5 year period, we know that gear, all going well, and there's no stuff ups. We'll have it self paid for. And then, you've got an asset then at the end of it that you can then put to work elsewhere.
Is there any fear that, and obviously this is a case to case and it's a broad question, but you get to that 3 or 5 year term, the job's done, and now you've got this bit of gear that was perfect for that job, with the likelihood of it being able to be repurposed or not be repurposed? What's that?
Yeah, huge risk. Massive. I mean, if you look at our Northwest operation, for example, we've probably got, I'd have to say we'd have one of Australia's largest quad road train fleets.
Yeah.
Period. We've got 150 soon to be 150 ultra quad road trains. Now these are all purpose built gear, 60 meters long, 210 tons coming down the road.
Yeah.
Quad axle, steer axles on the trailers, tri-drive trucks.
Hang on, quad axle?
Yeah.
Twin or single steer?
So that gear up there, single steer tri-drive.
Okay.
So anyone listening, 1 wheel at the front on the truck, three wheels, 3 individual diffs driving.
Yep.
And then pulling the trailers, which are then quad axle trailers.
And then you said the trailers are steer as well.
Yeah, steerable axles. And it's crazy because if you're looking at some of these assets that are getting built, they're 60 meters long. The vehicle dynamics on these actually perform better than a normal pocket road train or a B double.
Oh fuck, they want to.
In terms of swept path.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
In terms of how much corner they can cut, they actually perform better. So it's pretty crazy to see where the industry and the tech is going.
Yeah.
But the only issue is, you've got 150 of these that you can't just bring down to Bunbury and run because we're governed by the size and the spec of trucks that we can run down there, and it's mainly to do around main roads and the bridge constraints and axle spacings and things like that. So if something was to happen, you've got all this gear that you can't necessarily repurpose. It's only good for the north.
Right.
So there's always a huge risk in that. Massive.
So just going back, and we're getting inside baseball now, with your quad axle trailers, the steer on the trailer isn't just to do with wear and tear, it's also to get a better turning circle
Swept
on
path,
it.
yeah.
Wow. And do you think so you're saying it's better than, say, would it be equivalent of like pulling a double or?
Look, it's probably not quite as good as a B double, but I mean, if you look at these trucks, how long they are, you'd be surprised with how well. You would imagine like, okay, well, if you're turning this thing in a sharp 90-degree angle, you need like more than a football field that you're going to take out. Mate, these things sort of track with each other. They're kind of like a train almost. Yes, they do cut in.
Yeah, of course.
They're always going to, but really when you look at how these things perform, and then even on the road when they're coming down at 90 kilometres at 210 tonnes coming down the road, mate, these things are as straight as a gun barrel.
Crazy.
I've seen like pocket road trains and B doubles whiplash more than what these trucks can. Obviously, if you've got a bad operator in there or someone who's distracted and they're reaching down to get the sandwich out and they're all over the road. Yeah, of course it's going to perform poorly. But mate, when you're behind these things, they're like a.
Have you given it a shot?
Yeah, I actually, we just got back from a massive film campaign up in the Pilbara where we had 3 videographers and one of Australia's best automotive photographers with us. Sick. And we're spending time with the young Harrison Davis, one of these young blokes over east, and got this nice sort of East Coast twang on him. And I said, I need a character that we can film, someone who's just got this sort of twang about him to really lean in on the transport industry. So we used him, and he featured up really good. And on the way back, I was like, shit, give me a drive of this thing. I haven't been in one of these things for a while. So
for sure.
Yeah, it was good, mate. Good getting me back behind the wheel and driving 210 tonnes down the road.
Bloody gearbox is good for the soul every now and then.
Mate, it is, mate. I sit behind a keyboard now and sort of push pixels around on a computer screen, mate. So it's nice to get out there and grind a couple of gears.
Dude, sometimes I'll try flicking through the gears in the bloody high ace without using the clutch just to see if I still got it.
Yeah.
And by the way, I still got it.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
So speaking as an ex-truck driver, there's a lot of, like, the trucking industry was fucked according to them back then. 6 years ago, 7 years ago, you got cameras on you. You've got the seat will shake if you close your eyes for too long. If you look at the radio for too long, you get a call from the. How do you deal with an aging? I mean, there's so many elements here. You've got less young people wanting to drive trucks. You've got the old crew not wanting to be a part of it anymore because of these changes. You've got new standards in the industry that are coming in, not from the business but from the country. How do you find the amalgamation of all these things? Yeah,
good question. Always a challenge. People are always going to resist change to some degree, especially if you take the transport industry. The average age for a driver today in the transport industry is 61 years old.
Ooh, rough.
So you've got an industry that's like, on the verge of looking at retirement. So a lot of the people aren't tech savvy, and when you tell them that they've got you've now got 3 facing cameras on you and technology that assists if you're nodding off and gonna alert you and wake you up and send a message to to the supervisor. The supervisor then calls the driver, checks in on him, make sure that everything is all okay and that they're all right. You got infrared FLIR cameras that are now in the truck that are transmitting heat signals, from like wildlife or anything that any opposing threats that may be coming to them. Yeah.
Wow.
It has to up there. I mean, you've got, I know we're going a bit all over the show, but if you take the northwest, you've got free roaming cattle up there that so much land and so much cattle, it's impossible to sort of gate and house them in one paddock. So they're all free roaming. The harsh reality, if we don't hit a cow today, we're hitting one tomorrow. The cattle strikes are huge up there. They happen all the time. So you need technology in there to assist the driver that's out on the road at night time at 2:00 in the morning to advise, there's a herd of cows that they're approaching to, right? And they'll light up on the screen and notify them.
Yep.
So we try and give our operators all the tools to ensure that they arrive home safely to their family at the end of it.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be resistance from, people that are thinking that they're getting spied on and
I've heard it all.
But honestly, it's like if people honestly think that people are sitting behind an office and watching screens and waiting for someone to stuff up, people are so flat out and busy that they've got better things to do. But the tooling and the systems that we have introduced have actually saved lives. And there's times where, we may bring an operator in and say, look, there's a big increase over the last couple of weeks, with fatigue and, is everything all right? Is your home life right? Are you getting the right sleep? And you might go down a full pathway where they're intolerant to something, or something's going on with their diet, and you're doing further tests on people, and they might find that something's going on internally, which is causing them to feel more fatigued. And you'll bring them in and you'll show them footage of them micro sleeping, and they won't even see that they're doing it. And they're driving a truck 210 tons and they're nodding off. Their eyes are physically closing, and the truck's going over onto the rumble strip or onto the other side of the road, and they bring it back in, and mate, by the time they've done 200, 300, 400 Ks, they don't even know that they've done it. So there's been times where you've shown this to people and they've gone, holy hell, this has saved my life. I get it now. Yeah. It's also a requirement to work with tier one clients like your BHPs, your Rios, Atlas Irons. They've got their own expectation on. They're not just going to let anyone come and work. And if you are going to work with a company or a client or a tier one operator like that, you also need to behave and perform as a tier one contractor, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess anyone who pulls on that MGM high vis is essentially a full representative of MGM, so bringing these processes and standards that apply from top to bottom. Definitely. Yeah. It's so interesting. It's funny you say that it saved lives. I remember when I was working there, it was, at Cube, you never meant to see someone else's failures, right? But it was, I don't work there anymore. It was fairly common knowledge that there was someone there who'd be like, fucking get a load of such and such falling asleep behind the truck or behind the wheel. The amount of blokes that you've seen, and also, I've done enough night shift to know I've seen the purple dinosaur once or twice. You know what I mean? Fatigue is such a bitch because it fully just pokes its head around the corner and knocks you out. And seeing these grown men just, and it's like, brother, you got 100 ton on board.
Correct.
You know?
Yeah, it can be very frightening, very scary. So you try to. You got to be better than what you were yesterday, and you're always finding ways to improve. And if there's technology out there, you'd be mad not to put it in, right? It's the way that everything's transitioning. I mean, gone are the days of rocking up to work in your flip flops and your stubby shorts, even though that still happens. But don't expect to come and drive, one of Australia's biggest fleet of Kenworth road trains, and you're going to rock up in your plugger shorts and your thongs. There is requirements. We are working with mine sites. We are working with tier one, mining clients. So you need to, there's rules and regulations in place, right? So it is what it is, mate. Yeah, it's if you didn't have that in place, we wouldn't be at the size that we are today, and we wouldn't be working with the people that we do.
What's the runway between here and AI driving a truck?
Not you're not going to see that for a while.
No. What are the main constraints there, do you think?
Look, Jake, the rate of technology, as me and you both know, is just exponential, right? It feels like everyone is strapped on the side of a rocket right now, and the jet blasters are going ham, and we're just strapped on for the ride, and there's no slowing this thing down, right? So anything could change. So I might be way off here, but I don't see AI autonomous trucks coming in on publicly listed roads in the next 10 years. Period. Okay. I don't see it. And look, if I'm wrong, I'll own that as well, but I don't see it.
And also, we're coming from a point of view where it would be a massive benefit. I mean, you were saying yesterday you've got to find X amount of drivers in the next Y amount of months.
Yeah.
And it was an unrealistic number because I know as someone who holds an MC license, I'm rare as rock and horse shit. It's if you do have a license, if you do want to work for these guys, if the price is right, if you do want to go up north, all these things, there's so many constraints and
variables.
You said how many people are looking for truck drivers at the moment?
In Australia?
27,000
jobs listed right now here
Right.
in Australia.
So it would only benefit you if
You went autonomous,
Company
100%.
X came along and said, here's an AI, plugs into the
Mate,
top.
100%.
Right.
100%. Look, it may get there one day. I don't see it in 10 years though. In our style of work, right? That's not to say, Amazon deliveries or FedEx or Australia Post ain't going to run autonomous little rigids inside city landscapes to deliver parcels or whatever, right? So that may happen. But when you're talking 60 metre long road trains, 210 tonnes, dealing with the general public, I mean, you're in an open environment where you're dealing with the general public. You're not in a closed mine site.
Yeah.
So AI may be introduced before then in a controlled environment. We don't operate in a controlled environment.
Yeah.
So how can you expect a robot or an AI to continually, if it's presented with a threat or a risk or a sequence where it needs to divert or change, to ensure that it doesn't, let's say someone's coming, there's someone else driving towards them and they're going to have a head on. Well, the AI is going to, pull the truck off to the left to ensure that vehicle or that light, the person in that car doesn't have a head on to the truck. But then you're dealt with another set of circumstances where the AI then needs to determine, well, I've turned left now, I'm off the road, but I'm heading straight for a building or I'm heading for a cliff, so then it needs to then analyze and measure and make another adjustment. And then where do the adjustments then stop and start?
Whoa, let me stop you right there. Did you know that this podcast is proudly brought to you by BLXCK INK? BLXCK INK is, of course, the t-shirt brand, my brand, I guess, behind all of this podcast. And I've just released 6 new shirts. They're a fun fusion between BLXCK INK, the brand, and our beautiful city of Bunbury. All of these shirts are now available on www.blackink.com.au. And don't forget, every t-shirt that you purchase helps support the podcast, so please spend generously. Anyway, back to the podcast.
So I think that the thought of AI, yes, autonomous trucks would be great, but I can't see it happening in an opened environment when you're dealing with the general public at that scale anytime soon. Yeah,
so, I mean, as I said, it's one of those things where you would think that company would sit back and go, yeah, it'd be fucking cool, but also the amount of I keep going to that scene in iRobot where the robot makes a decision like save this life and not that life.
Yeah.
And it's like it's an impossible decision, and you go, well, would you want a human making that decision in that moment?
Yes.
And then if you want to get down the rabbit hole with it, do you want, and it's probably not even something you want to touch on, don't answer, but do you want an Australian making that decision, or do you want someone who is here on a visa making that decision, or do you want a computer who's connected to any sort of race, religion, sex, whatever, making that decision. Yeah, and it's like it's honestly it's a pointless conversation because it goes in circles, but it is an interesting conversation because if at the end of the day, if you can pull out Bruce who falls asleep after 10 hours and save the dude, and he is jobless, but he has his missus and his kids still, and he's still there, then maybe AI is not a bad thing. But also now this skilled man is now doing what?
Yeah. Mate, I don't know what the answer is. Look, I think it's definitely going in that direction. But full autonomy, mate, that's for me, it's a long way out.
Yeah. All right, that's nuts and bolts talk. I want to talk about you.
Okay.
So you drove trucks.
Yep.
How old were you how old are you right now?
I'm 34.
Cool. So I turned 33 in a month. You're a year older than me.
Yep.
All right. So how did it
all start?
How do you get to a point where you're like one of the guys walking around this office that everyone says hello to? Because that was so fascinating yesterday. I know you as Jimmy. You know what I mean? And then seeing you in your element yesterday, I'm just like, oh, Jimmy's
mate, you were there early before anyone was there as well. Mate, if you went there now, there'd be 50, 60 people in there running around everywhere. So it's a completely different environment.
Right.
Mate, this started when I was a kid, when I was 2 years old.
Yeah.
My grandfather would pick me up every single weekend, and I would go out to the quarries. I would go, and I remember as a kid thinking, how am I going to make my grandfather money one day? Don't make him money now, I'd just spend it,
Yeah.
But that's a joke anyway. But I would go with him. I'd go with it. I would go with him every single weekend.
Yeah.
And, mate, the same operators are sat on there, like a vivid memory. I remember sitting on Ray Marlowe, who still works with us now, old Ray.
Yeah.
And he's been a machine operator with us and been tied up with the Giaccis and MGM now for like 40, 50 years, mate. Like he's been here forever and a day from as long as I remember. I remember sitting on his lap when I was 3 years old and pulling the levers on one of our D10 dozers.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Like, I kid you not, right?
Would have felt like king of the world.
Yeah, like I was a tiny kid. And I remember my grandfather was down and we were doing like a cut, and I was pulling on the levers, and he was sort of running around and waving his hands up as if like I was gunning for him, right? And he was having a bit of a joke. And old Ray leant down at the end after I was pulling the levers and driving this big dozer. And he said, "Did you like that, mate?" You know, he tapped me on the back and said, "Did you like that, mate? Did you have fun?" And all I did was I pointed to his window and I said, "Your window's broken." And he said, "Bloody hell, you can see this kid's a Giacci, right?"
Yeah.
Like, so Ray then, when I left school, and I did my plumbing apprenticeship. School wasn't for me. Plumbing wasn't for me either, but I needed a trade behind me. Once I finished my plumbing apprenticeship, I joined the family business. So I would have been 20, 21 years old. And I went out to the quarries and I learnt to machine operate with Ray. So same Ray who I was sitting on his lap at 3 was then teaching me all that I know about machine operating
so you got
today.
16, 17 year gap between these memories.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I remember it vividly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I spent, most of my 20s was spent with the family business, coming and going, machine operating, truck driving, concrete truck driving, a little bit of scheduling and sort of HR and admin sort of roles with the companies, just sort of working my way through the business, right? Having all these little touch points in it and obviously a lot of travel. I spent most of my 20s traveling the world with one of my best mates snowboarding, and I'd sort of, the business would allow me to come home and work for 3-4 months and head off for 6 months again. So in that time, I'd come home and I'd drive trucks, or I'd jump in the quarries, and I'd learnt everything about crushing and screening and blending material and driving dozers, diggers, and it's been good, mate. I've been around machines my whole life. So for me to jump in a quad road train today, or to jump in a bulldozer or a 50-ton digger or a loader, mate, it's like riding a bike for me. It's easier than some of the tasks that I face every day. It's second nature.
Were there moments when you were operating machines that you felt like this was going to be the thing you do forever?
Jake, most of my life up until I was about 30, I didn't know what I was doing. So most of my 20s, I probably wasn't that logical in thinking like what my career path is, or what my succession plan is, or what direction I'm going in. I was like living day for day. Yeah. It wasn't until sort of about 30 where I sort of found myself and delve right into what I do now and took it more seriously.
I think, say, let's go plumbing, right? Mm-hmm. There would have been moments in the 4 years you did apprenticeship, right? Mm-hmm. There would have been moments where you're up to your elbow and shit going, I'm not doing this. This isn't me, you know? It's me now, and it's me for another 3 years or another year and a half or however long. But I have a feeling that you knew in those moments, you're like, I'm doing this right now, but I'm not doing this forever. When you're in a machine though, and your family owns the machines, and your family's known as the machines company, there must have been obviously there was a transition where you're like, I want to be part of the business. I don't want to be in the business. Yeah,
big time.
Those in the business moments, though, where you were operating machines, I know you're saying that isn't that logical thought of like, will I be doing this forever? But did it feel like that was you?
At the time, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I got good at it.
Yeah.
And so at the time, I like everything that I've done at any one point in my life, I've somewhat given it my all. And machine operating was like, you're in a huge sandpit playing with big boys' toys. So if you've grown up with that, literally as a kid, every day I was in a sandpit with like moving dirt around. Like that was me. I was never in front of a PlayStation or a TV, or I was never really, reading books. It was never really my thing. I was always out getting my hands dirty and working and moving material around. So at that time through my 20s when I was machine operating, I was loving it. But it wasn't, I don't know, it probably wasn't until I was traveling, snowboarding, where I knew at some point I was going to be dealt with a fork or a crossroad, that I had to make a decision whether I was going to go all in on snowboarding and follow my dream there, which in a short period of time I did get somewhat good at it, and was sponsored by a company in Melbourne, and was doing a bit of competing, and we're doing a lot of filming and doing shooting a heap of photos and getting in a couple of magazines and things like that, which was crazy from someone from Bunbury. Yeah. But I got into snowboarding when I was 21, so I was too late to it, right?
Yeah.
So
Tell me about it.
I was never going to be at a level where I was making money or I was be able to create a lifestyle from it unless there was a brand or something that came from it, right? So 6-7 years of like traveling, coming back to work, working for the family business, snowboarding, living in Canada, living in Japan. I knew at some point I was going to be dealt with a crossroad of like, I either need to park the snowboarding dream or like go all into the snowboarding dream, but you're going to live a very tough life. It's going to be free and it's going to be liberating, but you're going to have really no money to do anything, right? Unless you create some crazy brand that comes out of it, which was probably unlikely to happen. Or you join the family business at the time, which was starting to grow and starting to take shape, and I'd already spent so much time there, and you know, by doing that, that's going to allow you to travel the world and to go snowboarding. And one day when you have a family, you're financially set up and you're secure, and it's still going to give you all these same luxuries you're getting today. Yeah, and that's what happened. COVID sort of hit, and had a couple of injuries with snowboarding before COVID came in. So. And then once COVID came in and those injuries, I was sort of starting to transition out of it anyway.
Was there any sort of pressure or conversation around you coming into the family business from the family?
Never.
No?
No, never. My mum has always been a huge promoter of like, I just want you to be happy.
Are you an only child?
No. Got a older brother who's there's 4.5 years between us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 2 brothers, you're the younger brother.
One brother. 2 brothers, me and my brother Tristan.
Interesting. And what is he in the business?
No. So he was tied up with Wesley Illumina and done very well there. So he's part of he's not there anymore, but he's just about to finish his psychology degree.
Wow.
And does a bit of work for, I want to say Alcoa, but I could be getting it wrong, but works at one of the power stations.
Okay.
Generating power.
Right.
Yep.
So let me get a bit of a grasp on this. You have always been around these big toys, these big boys' toys, right? Mm-hmm. You've done your schooling. You've got your apprenticeship. Mm-hmm. You've then had moments of being in the business and being in the snowboarding world, the athletic world, if you want to call it that. And then you've come to like a bit of a crossroads and you're like, I got to take this shit seriously. Mm-hmm. And you've gone all in on the business.
Yep.
Right. So when that happens, what level of the business are you starting at from there?
So I probably stopped machine operating maybe around 25, and then I started getting into some roles of transport scheduler. So I'd jump in the office there and help manage the scheduling of all our trucks in Bunbury and the jobs I had to go to and dealing with the drivers and things like that.
Right.
I would also then relief some of our managers in Perth. We've got a contract up there where we cart salt from Cooley Nobbing near Southern Cross into Perth. Yep. Got about 10 trucks on that. And, if our manager had to go on holidays there, I'd go in, I'd fill in for that role and deal directly with the drivers, deal directly with the client, do all the scheduling, do all the paperwork. So I was starting to transition into these sort of managerial type roles.
And what's that like at 25?
It's hard in the industry when you're dealing with older people that have been doing it longer than you, because you haven't probably earned the level of respect yet from the older people. So it was hard, mate. It was challenging. There was a couple of operators that, made life pretty difficult for me, which is understandable. You've got this new kid that's coming in. You might be looked as the golden child because you're you're part of the family. Your
surname doesn't help at that moment.
Yeah, I know, but when you are in a family business, you need to work twice as hard. And I guess for me, I've been working since I was 12 years old, 11 years old. I've had a job. So working for me has always been a big thing for me. Yeah. I've always loved working. But so, I mean, it's always hard to get the respect and gain the trust from people that may be older than you that have been doing in the industry for 40 years. And here you've got this, you got the director's son now coming in and sort of telling you what needs to be done. But I've never been sort of driven by you know, I'm the boss, so I take charge, you listen to me. That's never really been my way. I've always been someone that tries to avoid confrontation at all costs. Confrontation isn't really my thing.
Right.
I'd rather talk on more sort of creative levels and just more human to human versus like dictatorship. So, and by doing that, you can maybe sometimes come across as a little bit weak in the early days, right? And people can sort of throw their weight, and you try to avoid confrontation, even if the behaviour is wrong from individuals. You know, sometimes you might not speak up or challenge, right? Because people might be older than you and in your mind have more authority, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's hard when you're in a managerial role as a young kid in such a old school male demographic industry.
Yep.
So definitely challenging, but now don't face that challenge or fear. I know who I am. I know what I know, and I love the industry that we're in, and I'm pushing for this industry because it's a great place, great company to be involved in, and so I'm pushing really hard for the younger generation to come in here because I know how great it is.
I think it's the big machinery element as well, because I know, like, I've had a bit of a weird all over the place career, you know, like starting like from my proper, like coming back from Europe when I was 18, quitting being a professional athlete, you know, coming into working in my dad's business, which was skilled and unskilled labor hire at Iluka. And like that being my first job, ended up being employed by Iluka as a process operator. And you sort of like, oh, these people around these big things, the bigger the thing they're around, the bigger the character comes with it.
Yes. Yep.
And then keeping that bit of knowledge, when I got into driving road trains, you got these blokes that have been driving road trains their whole life, and they talk to you like pure shit if you're the new kid, you know? And it's like, I picked up on there's almost a certain level of like ego and / arrogance that comes with operating X amount of tons of equipment, because you're like, if I fuck up, I die. If I fuck up, you die if you're in front of me. And that then translates into higher volumes when there's these moments of conflict.
Big time.
You know? And I think one really important thing you said before was like, you know who you are now. And that's something that can come with age. That also comes with runs on the board.
Big time.
Right? So the dude who's gone up and down Collie Hill 1,500 times, you know, with 100 ton behind him, that motherfucker knows, you know, and you tell them, hey, you should be doing this. No, I shouldn't. This is how it should be done. And I do it that way every time.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So there is that like certain level. And I ask because I feel like I've been in a lot of situations, and even now I feel like I'm still the new young kid on the block who's in business, in uniforms, in life, in podcasting. You know, I'm just trying to figure shit out as I go. And I'm now coming
Might I add, you're doing a very good job at it though.
I think
very good job at it, mate.
It's what you're talking about though. Like I feel like I'm now at a point where I'm sort of like understanding what stage I'm at, if this all works, where I'm at right now, you know, because you don't want to embody the persona and character of someone who's made it 10 years from now, because you wait 10 years to be that.
Correct. But even when you do make it, you don't act like that persona either.
That's right.
It's about being humble in who you are as a person as well, I believe.
It's like you leave the fish slack, but you also remind them they're on the hook.
Mate, it's the old saying, you give someone enough rope and you watch them hang themselves. And sometimes power gets to people's head, mate. Yeah. And you really need to just remain level-headed in anything that we do.
100%.
Whether you're at the top or not.
And that's, I mean, what we're talking about, it's sort of, like, I think the underlying theme through all of this is that we're both people who have that feeling of like, I just want to know if I went a bit harder and went a bit longer, what the result looks like, you know? And I think one thing that's very evident from what I saw yesterday is you've carved a position out in the business for yourself. You know, I think the business looks to you from a lot of angles for answers.
Yep.
And I don't know whether you're intrinsically that person or you've developed yourself into that person.
Definitely developed.
Right. And through developing yourself, you've had to ask yourself the right questions at the right times and find the answers for them. Right. And through that process, you start getting to a point where you're like, I'm asking the right questions and I'm getting the answers and I'm doing something with the answer.
Definitely.
You know?
Yeah.
So elaborate on that idea that you've carved out a position in the business. How did that come about? How did that come about in you first?
Yeah, so I had just transitioned out of managing the Iluka contract, our storage contract.
Right.
So I was looking after all of that operation, and we had one of our workshop managers ended up leaving. So had to go and jump into that role. I was asked to go into that role because they had no one to fill it.
Yep.
And that was a challenging one because not mechanically minded. You know, you think when you leave school and you're in a transport business, you'd go and be a mechanic or a heavy diesel fitter, right?
Yep.
And I love cars, so it's like, and it's my biggest downfall today because, you know, if I've got a car and I'm working on it, mate, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm YouTubing the whole time, mate. And I'm like, if I just used my time differently when I was a kid, why didn't I do that? Why did I do plumbing, right?
I know.
So, but anyway, you can't go through life thinking about that. But I jumped into the workshop alongside Leon Vidari there. So we had some fun there. So it was me and him running that workshop, and during that time and even before then, I was managing all the social media and doing all the photography and filming and all the videos and you know having mentors like Geordie, looking at his design brain and really leaning on him for inspo and him guiding me through like my graphic design sort of very surface level career.
Right.
So
I think this is about when you and I started.
Probably was, yeah. I ended up moving to Melbourne for like a 3-month graphic design course. It was a 12-month course crammed in 3 months at Shillington's College.
Really?
And I was living in Geordie and Mads's house in Collingwood, and it was the same time they went on their trip over east and got engaged. So I was living in the house there and going to school every day to study graphic design because I was already doing a lot of that in-house for the company, but I didn't really have the right execution on you know how to put it all together. And I was leaning on Geordie a lot through Adobe Illustrator and InDesign and trying to figure it out. And I thought, you know, if I'm doing this for the company, I really need to go and just brush up my skills on this. So
hectic. So you did 3 months of study, moved interstate to do it.
Yeah.
And this is all with the intention of then taking that knowledge back to the company.
Just to apply it to the company.
Hectic.
Yeah. So that's what we did. So then, because I was putting things like designing our capability statements and working on our tenders and putting all that sort of stuff together, and then the formal education just helped me execute the vision, or you know, to put this collateral together a lot quicker. So I was in a stage where I was working for Aluka. I was looking after the contract in our storage shed. I was doing all our graphic design in house. Transitioned across into the workshop, working with Leon. I was there for 3 years, putting all our tenders together. So you're sort of wearing multiple hats. And it came to the point where our CFO came to us, Fransco, and said, mate, the way that the company's going, we need someone full-time in marketing. And I never studied marketing by no means, but I felt like I had a good grasp on brands and communication and tone of voice and what sort of color palettes were working and what looked cool on socials and what sort of high-end fashion brands were doing or even streetwear brands. And then sort of growing up as a kid in the whole skateboard, snowboard, surfing realm, you're looking at, you know, what Tensions is doing or what CKY is doing or what the 411 VM skateboard magazine's doing. So you're always getting influence from, you know, skate and street culture. I felt like I had a good understanding somewhat of how to marketing a business or just marketing in general. But then also having people like Geordie to sort of lean on definitely helped. So the position came to us when I was 3 years into the workshop, and I'd only just started sinking my teeth into it. I was only just starting to understand how it all worked. Not being mechanically minded was a big downfall of mine. And the option was there, otherwise they were going to market. And I thought to myself, you know, I don't know nothing about it. I've got a good understanding of it, but I'm not marketing trained or anything. And I thought if someone was to come in and represent our family business and they didn't do it to the level that I knew it needed to be in, I was always going to kick myself, right?
Yeah. Let me stop you right there. Did you know that today's podcast is proudly brought to you by Barloo Coffee Bar? They're located at 62A Beach Road, and they are my favorite local coffee shop in town. And I'm not just saying that because they pay to be on the podcast. I'm saying that because I go there every damn day. Barloo is a super fun, super community-based spot that is always popping off every morning. They got really cool hangout areas both inside and outside. They've got great coffee. They've got a great team. And I really, really like their brekkie wraps and their toasted halloumi and roasted pumpkin sandwich. It's an awesome lunch treat. We're also teamed up this month with a collaborative t-shirt. I've made a super cool illustration of their shop front and printed it on a tee. It looks really cool. They've got them for sale in store and they're also available on my website. So jump on and check them out and get one for yourself if you want to be a part of the scene. Anyway, let's get back to the podcast.
And unfortunately, there's a, I don't want to talk down or punch down on Bunbury, but I haven't seen too many people that like graphic designers or marketing people that have done it at a level where I've gone, shit, that is cool. I'm getting influence from it. Besides Geordie. So the opportunity was there to take it on. I ended up transitioning out of the workshop role and delve headfirst into the marketing space for the company 4 or 5 years ago. And mate, it's been the best choice. At the time, still my partner today, Amy, she was a big promoter of it. And she sort of seen a lot of potential in me in that space and definitely helped push me in that direction, which was really cool. And mate, it's probably the best decision I've ever made. It's only me there.
Yeah.
I don't have a team of people, but I get to hang with some really cool people and do some really cool stuff in our company. And I feel like I'm pushing the transport industry, especially our business, into a new age demographic that hasn't been done yet today. So in that sense, I love what I do, mate. Is
that still what you are? Is you're the marketing
manager? Yeah, for MGM Bulk. Yep.
Okay. Heaps of questions following up from that. Mm-hmm. When you watch a movie, do you watch the movie or do you wonder how it's made?
Great question, mate. I look at movies on how they do their transitions from one scene to another, and I will fascinate on a really good transition over a storyline. Yep. Or I will fascinate on how they've color graded a movie over like what the message is or what they've said in the movie. Yeah. I will nitpick things to that level, how the transitions, how the fade outs were, how the audio is like. Yep. So someone like a Tarantino, for an example, or a Guy Ritchie that just take you on 5 different movie journeys in one film. That's the shit I love.
Yeah,
because that is creativity at a whole nother level, and a lot of people don't like that style, but to me, I need to be challenged when I watch something like that.
Interesting. Okay, that's a brilliant answer.
Thank you.
I really feel like sometimes art is lost on people like you and I who care too much about the mechanics and not enough about the result.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's the fun part. It's not like we're watching it going like, I wouldn't have done that better. You're sitting back going like, interesting. That's your format or your style, okay? To each their own. This is why I'm guessing this is why we both have a fascination in Porsches. It's the car for the person who gives a fuck about how.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to chat to you on that as well. Because I know you're a big Porsche guy.
You got one for me.
Oh, mate, I'd love one for myself, mate.
Yeah. We'll go halves in one.
One day, mate. One day we'll get there. But mate, where did your love come from for him?
My dad had a 1978 911, a yellow one.
Really?
Yeah.
So that'd be 2.4 or 2.7 later.
2.4, I think.
Yeah.
It was. I always forget exactly what year it was because it was the year before they went to a wide ass.
Yep.
A panel beater owned it and got the wide ass off the year after and put it onto this. So it was meant to be a narrow body, but it had the wide body on it. And this thing, I mean, these years, literally this is almost the shape that we're talking of the magazine that you gave me, which is crazy. And this, it's funny, it's that car.
Okay.
But with a wide ass on it, right?
Yep.
Now, he bought that for, my friends are all listening to this, just shaking their head because I've told this story a million times to them. I've never said it on the podcast. He bought that car. They're like a fucking go-kart, dude. Like you're literally sitting on a floor pan with a seat that's just bolted to the ground.
Yeah.
Wah, wah.
Yeah. You get out of that thing stinking like fuel.
Yeah, dude.
Mate, nothing gives you that experience anymore.
No. Your hair's ruined. Your fucking eyes are watering. It's sick, and I'm happy to say it on the podcast. He sold that to keep my original business afloat.
Wow.
So
shit.
I've always had this debt in my heart to at least have a Porsche in the family. If not his, maybe I can have it for him. But the really painful part is what he bought it for and what he sold it for was about the same. What you would buy that same car for right now?
Yeah, 3 to 4.
Dude.
Yeah, it's crazy. But everyone's got that story. A story like that, right?
Yeah.
Like, dude, it's wild. Do you remember that car as a kid? Or was this before your time?
Brother, this is when I was a teenager.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Dude, what an experience to grow up. What a cool father.
Yeah. Oh no, Dad's had like in my life, Dad's had probably close to 100 cars.
Yeah.
And drives around in a shitty old BA Falcon Ute, but has had the coolest fucking cars you can imagine. Like his most recent cool car was a blown 32 Tudor. It's like 351 with a massive blower hanging out of it.
Burnout skid pig.
Yeah, but never done a burnout. You know what I mean? Like this thing is immaculate.
Just
sort of
tough.
thing. You put a mirror underneath it, everything's fucking perfect,
cool,
right?
cool, really
He's
cool.
just had the coolest cars, and like this car, he must have sold that 911 when I was about 20. I bought the coffee van when I was 21 and sold it when I was 25.
Wow,
So
dude, that's not long ago.
No. So he sold that somewhere in there.
Amazing.
And that car is just etched into my. I never drove it.
Well, you need to get a yellow one then.
I need it. Oh, dude, I'll tear up if we start talking about it too much. He had a Boxster just recently for about 12 months, and I drove the fuck out of that thing. Like I did. I've never had an interest in driving any of his cars purely because I'm scared of the man and I don't want to ruin his thing.
Yeah.
But when he got that Porsche, I'm like,
hand the keys over.
give me the
I'm
keys.
ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. And now it's like it's just a really nice North Star. It's something that
You work towards.
yeah, and
Dude,
like
epic.
I think like with wealth generation, that's not the first thing that comes when you make money. It sort of comes a few things after. There's a few things you want to get sorted before that, but it's coming.
Yeah, 100%.
It's so
100%,
coming.
100%.
And it's just such a I don't know. It's one of those things as well. Like I don't have any. I've got mates. I've got like my best mate drives a $250,000 car, and he thinks I'm crazy for liking Porsches.
No.
But because he's got a Land Cruiser,
Yeah.
it's normal.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And it's like,
yeah.
dude, I could buy two of what I want.
Yep.
And still have change for what your car costs, right? And it's just, I don't know. It's
So you're saying it was a 74?
around that.
Mate, that's the cream right there.
Yeah.
That's why there's that huge market right now in that Porsche space. Well, it's been going around for ages to backdate them, right? Because 74 was, I think 74, 75 was the last year, but before they started introducing the crash bumpers, right? So the front bumper and the rear bumper that then has the rubber cushioning on it.
Right.
So that's why people go, it's common for people to have like a 3.2 Carrera from, like an 85 3.2 Carrera and backdate it to like a 71, 72, 73, 74.
Right.
Ideally, that's what I'm going to be getting. I'll be doing that one day, backdating it because you've got the real beautiful, delicate bumpers. You don't have the big Euro crash plastics on them that then got introduced and sort of started spoiling the look of the car. So
interesting, yeah.
So that 74, sort of 70 to 74 is like such a beautiful, probably the best looking 911 they've made to date.
You know those things as a kid that you don't appreciate, and then later on you go back and you think about it and you're like, fuck. Like when I say Dad had nice cars, like I'm talking unfeasibly nice cars his entire life. Like it's been one of those things. Dad's always had the nicest Harleys, the nicest cars, and it's always been something that he's kept in the shed, doesn't tell anyone about, and sometimes multiple cars. This guy's sitting on $500,000 worth of cars, and his mates only know about one of them. And like now, dude's just got his car, his missus' car, and that's it. And a really nice fucking touring Harley. And it's like, it must be killing him inside, And it's just such a, like, now that I think back about the couple of times that I sat in that passenger seat and you're like, this is the most unpractical fucking crazy cool car.
Yeah, it's slow, it's loud, it's noisy, it's clunky, it's rough, it stinks of fuel.
How cool.
And I love it.
Yeah.
These new cars made are soulless. Everything is soulless these days. It sucks.
I think
honestly,
even like one of my very soon presents to myself, pretty much I'm going to say the day that I get in the black, I'm buying myself a Sporty again.
Yeah, good.
Like I've had 5 Harleys, 3 of them are the same model Sporty, 883 iron, like just love them. They're just like, they're probably still not, there's probably still too like electric, if that's the right word, but they're like the end of the real bikes where if something went wrong, you could still just like, pull the seat off, pull the back wheel off,
swing a spanner on that thing and figure it out.
You do something with it. You could fuck up on it and it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And it's like there's something even about that where you're just like,
mate, to me, I've always been like, I love new stuff as well, but as I'm getting older, that whole drive for analog is where it's at because, and I, make the comment before about things being soulless because they are. It's like everything needs to be single speed, electric, quiet, door seals, smooth, and you're just thinking, like when did we lose the soul of this? Like that's why something analog sort of, early 2000s back, are still good driving cars, and you can still push those cars to the limit and not be thrown in jail, right? Yeah. So these new cars, you can't, you one blip and within 2-3 seconds, mate, you're getting thrown in jail if you're driving in something like that, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, these old ones, you want something where you get out and the hairs are sort of standing up on your arms, and you're going, holy shit, everything should be an experience.
Tell me how, like, where that fits into the category of like the flow state you get when you snowboard.
I probably don't drive cars hard enough to have ever been in a flow state. Like, I love them, I enjoy them, but I don't think I've ever experienced like a flow state like snowboarding where you're so fast out of control that you are so in control. I've never actually been like that in a car. Maybe if ever I got into tracking a car or a bit of racing, that may be different. But I've never actually unlocked that sort of flow state that you talk about in driving a car.
Hey, dude,
not yet anyway.
Most dudes our age, like that are in this town around us, don't know what a flow state really feels like. And like, I'm speaking, like, dude, I was on my rollerblades yesterday for the first time in however many months, and I hit 55 kilometers per hour. It doesn't sound crazy till you're doing 55 on a pair of rollerblades.
Mate, I'll pass. You can have that.
But that feeling, and also like, I'm jumping to go backwards at that speed and not thinking about it. Yeah. My body decided to do it, not my mind.
Yep.
And that feeling of like, just fucking
so in control,
dude.
But at any moment you can
all be over.
Yeah.
You know?
Dude, it's a great space to be in when you can get in that space. Yeah.
Fuck, man. That's like...
You become one with it.
That's right. That's right. And like, I'm not going to get all fucking woo-woo on it, but you're actually beyond the human experience in those moments, you know? And like, I remember when I used to like race marathons when I was a teenager, like in Europe doing the thing, and you would like lock in for like 20 Ks and all of a sudden you catch yourself in the third person thinking about it. You're like, oh my God, I was in it and I fucked it. I fucked it because I started thinking about it.
Yes.
You know, but you're just so in like moving, okay, pack's coming here, step there, win there. All right, I'm going to get in this spot, move up, you know?
But it kind of becomes robotic when you're in that space because there's no thoughts coming in and there's no thoughts going out.
That's right.
Right? That's what I found anyway. And it sort of becomes like a meditation sort of like state that you're so at peace, but to anyone else, you're like so out of control.
Yeah.
But everything's just like locked in how it needs to be. So yeah, it's, I do, that's one thing I probably do miss with snowboarding. I did get the chance to go back in February with my best mate, Buzzy and
oh yeah, you were there like a week before me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was too. You were South Island though, weren't you? So you were Huckabah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And mate, it was great. It was great to get back on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sucks that your thing is requiring snow though.
Yes. Yeah.
You have to go somewhere to do it.
Yep.
Interesting. Do you ride bikes, push bikes?
Look, through COVID, I got right into downhill.
Yeah.
So dived head first into that for many years. Don't ride as much as what I probably should be. That consumed a lot of me riding bikes. So I've always had a board on my feet. So if it was either like been skating since I was 6 years old and stopped when I was, when I got a license and partying was the next best thing and women came into the scene, right? No one wanted to ride a skateboard then. Well, at least I didn't. So my priorities changed and then, sort of been surfing on and off most of my life and then snowboarding sort of took over most of my 20s.
Right. Let's there was something else in there. Right. Let's go back to you've been approached, hey, we need someone in marketing. You're like, all right, this makes sense.
Yep.
You said before as well that if someone else came in and did that job and didn't represent the company how you thought or to the best of the ability, that would have been a disservice to you.
Yep.
I think that's a really big, like, if that gets awakened in you. So one of the primary tenets of the dude who taught me my marketing was no one knows your business like you. No one knows the customer. No one knows the product. No one knows the process. No one knows the pain points. You know that. And you've got such a weird cross-reference of this business because not only have you been in it, you're dealing with the client on the tender end, you're dealing with the driver, you're dealing with the machine, you're dealing with the maintenance, you're dealing with the scheduling and all these bullshit. Like,
so many touch points.
Right? So how does that look going into the future? Do you feel like you've achieved what you've set out to achieve, or where are you on that journey?
Yeah, mate, what I will essentially do is build the team out, and then step away from it at some point and let the new ones then run it. So it's just me there for now. We have started contracting a bit of work out to my cousin's business over in Melbourne, so we get them across and they help out with a bit of our marketing and branding and promotions, because I did not have the time to do it. You can only have so many hours in a day, right? And if you need to go out and do a film shoot, mate, you're talking, a couple of weeks of planning, a couple of days out on site, and then probably 2 to 3 weeks post-production. And, you're talking 5 to 6 weeks worth of work that has then been put on the back foot just to produce like a 2, 3, 4 minute long video, right? And a heap of socials. So for me to be able to do that and have full control over that was unsustainable. So I had to start outsourcing, which I did last year.
Yeah.
Up until that point, I was doing everything. But ideally, what will happen is we will develop that team internally. Right now, we'll keep using my cousin's business for the next couple of years. But ideally, I would like to have the own marketing department inside MGM doing everything from graphic designers, videographers, copywriters, a whole range of skill sets there to help and assist with our business moving forward. But I will always have the last say when it comes to the branding and the sign off and all of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Obviously, social media, there's a place for every business, every industry. You can defend that until the cows come home.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the polite way to say this. Is it a bit pointless to have a trucking company on social media?
No, definitely not.
Tell me why.
Because, if you're dealing with a transport industry that has the average age of 61 years old, we as a company have a responsibility to ensure that this industry remains safe moving forward. And the only way we can do that is speak to the younger generation, speak to the younger demographic. And we're not going to solve the problems overnight, but consistency and promoting the industry and promoting us as a business, hopefully, and also upskilling people, right? Yeah. Bringing people in green, investing in them, training them up, upskilling them. There's so many areas where we're trying to ensure that this industry for Australia is safe, right? We're playing our part. So, mate, everyone, all the younger demographic generation is getting all their information through socials.
Right.
You know that. So it's the best way to speak to an audience and be able to capture live data, see where your demographic's coming from, what age demographic you're working with.
Yep.
You can even, how it works, Jake, you can even run ads and target specific areas. If a transport company is shut down or a mine's closing and there's 400 people that are about to lose a job over in Queensland in this town, well, I'm going to target that town tomorrow.
Yeah.
And try and promote for those people that there's job security over here.
Right.
So from a social point of view, yes, it is needed, 100%.
Sounds like you're positioning yourself as a representative of like industry culture as well.
Trying to, for sure.
Right. Mm-hmm. So if you sort of, actually this is probably borrowing some of your terminology, you're setting yourself as the gold tier of transport and having yourself as like the aesthetic front of that on social media not only backs that image, but it also acts as like as a tool, I guess, for being able to find that next generation of driver and operator.
Yep.
Interesting. Because dude, obviously like I'm developing a social on a totally different scale, but also like developing a social media for a uniform supply and print business. Like, dude, go fuck myself, right? Who cares? So it's now my responsibility to go, all right, 2 arms of this. How do I make it that I'm not just going like, hey guys, buy a t-shirt with your brand on it and it's this much? How do I make it entertaining? How do I make it contextual? And also, is there a solid enough why there that it's worth doing this? Why don't I just go and pick up the phone book and call every business and go, do you need uniforms? Do you need...
Because that tactic doesn't work.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
You
know? Because at the end of the day, it's efficiency of time spent doing what you're doing. If I spend 100 hours developing this thing, whether it's a website, whether it's a catalog like I've just done, whether it's pounding the pavement for 100 hours, whether it's creating a social media, well, which one of those renders me the best long-term results? So short-term, long-term, medium-term, which one actually, like the website will live forever. Yep. The catalog will live forever, but the prices will change. The social media will live forever, but if I stop posting, it stops, right? So it's an interesting conversation, and it's a different conversation with every business and every industry. But yeah, I feel like I see so many people on the small scale that are business owners that are promoting their business in a completely pointless manner, you know? And yeah, I think when I understand it that you are the face of the industry on social media, that is definitely a great why.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. And I think also people relate to authenticity. And as long as you're not trying to cram a product down someone's throat, like buy my shit, or come work for us, even though we're pushing pretty hard in that space. I think people like resonating with real life people.
Yeah.
Right. And you've built a persona and a character around Black Ink and Jake and what he's about. People are more likely, so you're building trust out in the community, and people are more likely to come and support you or work for you or buy your product. But I think when people just solely focus on trying to cram, junk down people's throats, that's when it doesn't translate. Yep. So we're doing a lot of time spending with our operators in the field and getting their take on it. And I feel like us as a business, being privately owned, we can take a little bit more risks in the way that we deliver some of these campaigns or these videos.
Yeah. And
you don't necessarily need to play it safe, and the whole you got to have a clean uniform on and a hard hat and the belt clip there and
the bullshit
and a blonde there with makeup on, and mate, like that is not us. All right, we are not going to follow industry norms of like what the big players do. They play it so safe, and I just look at that whole market and it's so saturated, and everyone's looking and sounding and feeling the same. Us as a company, we're taking a little bit more risk. We're having a bit of fun with it. We're still presenting ourselves quite professional, but to me, I think we're doing it in a way that probably hasn't been done in the transport industry or mining industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a great example of that was that massive photo of the loader.
In
your office yesterday. I'm like, I love that the loader is dirty.
Yeah. Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Exactly.
The windscreen is fucking
covered
caked,
in shit,
and the only thing that's you can see is exactly where the wipers. And like, dude, anyone who's driven a loader for 10 minutes in a shed knows that's the reality.
Yes, correct.
And you're like, this feels very like
real,
tactile.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's amazing,
authentic.
What's and also to sort of hammer home your point, like transport is a dirty job.
Can be, yeah.
You know, like
no, you're right. It is. It is.
Like at the end of the day, especially like, dude, you look at the arse end of the spectrum, like carting iron cons. You know, like I carted iron cons 3 times 4 years ago. It's still in my fucking boots.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like it's just...
it's everywhere.
Yeah, transport is. You know, you're taking a bite out of your sandwich. You know, it's fucking lithium.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, or there's like grease on your white bread sandwich because you've uncoupled a set of trailers. A couple of hours before. Yeah.
So I think that there's that level of, again, that goes back to authenticity, which then goes back to trust. Yeah. Interesting. How many female operators do you have in your fleet?
Good question. I did run those numbers about a year ago. It would probably be staff members would probably be, so this is admin and operators. I'm just taking a stab in the dark here, Jake. I'd probably say of a company of 600 people today, we would probably have 70 female staff members.
Okay.
Ranging from admin and drivers.
Do you find female operators, what are the strengths of a female operator?
Well, everyone's different, but females in the industry are generally known to treat the gear better. They kind of mother it a little bit more. Yep. They look after it. We've got some amazing operators up north, and we just done a big film shoot with Billy Brayshaw. She's worked with us driving quad road trains for many, many years, and but she comes from a background of like working on gear and driving big dozers and driving drag cars, and grew up in a time where she would ride horses into work, and like, so she comes from an era that's like, they're country people, right?
Yeah.
So we're doing a really cool feature on her, but female operators are known to treat the gear better. It's kind of like a thing that they say in the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want your gear looked after and treated well, and sometimes give it to a female, where guys, we can be a little bit more abrupt at times and a little bit more harsh on the gear at times. But in saying that, there are some amazing operators out there, both male and female, that mate, if you could employ people like that, it's funny. I was having this discussion with my stepdad the other day, and we'll talk because he runs a transport business as well, but he's in cold storage and refrigeration, so he's dealing with food, and so it's a little bit different. But were having a bit of a laugh the other day, stating that, you sometimes you think that operators back in the day, had no pride for the gear or didn't love it, and you'd complain back in the day of it, and you think today, like, where are those operators today, right? Because the standard has definitely dropped. There is some amazing operators out there, no question about it, but it's sort of becoming very far few in between.
Dude, there's the truck condition, then there's the in the cab condition.
Yeah.
I know buddy Richie, I don't know his actual surname, Richie Spice. I had him on the podcast. He was my original.
Was he the cube driver?
Yeah, the team leader.
Yeah, I did see that one.
Dude, you get into a truck after him, it's fucking, you're like, it smells like lavender in here. Was he hitting lavender somewhere, Yeah. Everything was just... Yeah,
perfect how it should be.
He's old school. Dude, he's waiting to get loaded and he's got the paintbrush out and he's getting in between all the...
Mate, we've got operators like that as well. They're getting loaded and they're out there rubbing the alley rims down and cleaning the guards. And like when you can find operators like that, do all that you can to hang on to them.
I was talking to Mum last night about what she remembers of Giacci back in the day, Giacci's, and she was saying as overall, it was a very prideful fleet. Like things were kept well.
Yep.
Is that something that you've implemented into part of your progress, where you've encouraged that or incentivized it all?
Yeah, yes, but I mean, when you grow at the scale that we have, Jake, it's very hard to manage it. My grandfather, has always drummed it into us that that's your brand, that's your image. And even the people that then come and work for you, if they're driving that gear down the road, you're actually representing that brand. Yeah. And there's a level of pride that goes with that. So you've got moving billboards down the road. So that's the first, engagement that anyone's going to have with you.
Yep.
So if you've got dirty fleet down the road, why would a client or why would someone trust you, right? So vehicle presentation and cleanliness has always been at the forefront of everything that we're doing, always been a huge focus of us. However, in recent times when you grow from 40 trucks to 250, it's hard to manage it. It comes very hard to manage it then.
Yeah. In my situation, I feel very lucky because I have complete autonomy. Mm-hmm. I have a decision today, I execute it this afternoon, and tomorrow I turn it into something else and I make another decision. And I've got a few friends who are, in partnerships, and I was mentioning to someone the other day in a partnership, I only know of 2 partnerships in business that I've ever seen work well, right? They still have little this and that, but it works well. Everything else you watch just fucking implode, right? You've mentioned in a few different ways, like the fact that it's a family business, You've got a lot of people having input and making a lot of decisions. Talk to me about the strengths and weaknesses of that arrangement.
So strengths would be a lot of the success that came from Giacci Brothers. Those same people then came across and worked for us today.
Right.
Strengths, we've been in the industry for 70 years. 70, like it's a long time.
Fuck yeah.
To be devoted and committed to one thing. So industry knowledge is definitely probably a strength of ours.
Yep.
When you're, like a job that we've got starting in March where we need to employ another 220 people in an industry that's already, got huge shortages, an aging demographic and population. And so it's going to be hard to find those people, but we'll do all that we can to find them because you've got no option. So when you start jumping at levels of, you're not increasing your wage force by sort of 5 to 10 people at a time, the jobs that you're taking on, you're now increasing them by the hundreds at time, right? And even like the gear, you take a job on, you're not taking a job on really with 1 or 2 trucks, you're now talking 50 trucks at a time, right? So everything just multiplies out, and then you're talking huge. Like remote workshops and mechanics. And if you picture one of these trucks, each truck has 3 drivers attached to it. So you've got one on R&R, one on holidays, one sleeping, and one driving, right? Yep. So you think 50 trucks, 50 people, but you're talking 150 people at a time for those 50 trucks that you need, and that's not even including the mechanics and the workshop personnel that then have to go in to service this gear, right? Yep. And same sort of thing, day shift, night shift, R&R on the mechanics, right? Wow. So everything starts multiplying out at
It's
scale.
almost compounding at this point.
Dude, big time.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's like really fascinating. But also it's virtually impossible to ensure that everyone has the same set of values and beliefs that you have for the company. So you're always going to have people that, don't fit the mold or are just there to get a paycheck and then don't really have any interest or passion for it. It's always going to happen when you're growing at that scale. But we're doing a lot of work right now in regards to our systems and our people and culture, because we've always done such a good job at investing in the best gear and developing workshops and having some of the best fleet on the road and being really innovative in that space. Now it's time that our systems and our people and culture then catch up, so we can ensure that this next phase of growth that we go through, we as a company are going to be able to manage that, right?
Right.
So it's there's always going to be challenges when you're employing that many people. Business is easy. It's sometimes people is what can make it hard or challenging, right?
I guess having a group of people steering the ship that all have the same last name definitely helps when you have such scale to consider. Because I think I'm asking because I'm purely fucking curious. It's pretty rare to come across a company this size that is just like, yep, see all the people at the top, they're all related, right? And it's like, I know when I work with my dad, it was a best and worst thing, because you're like, the problem is you can tell each other to fuck off, and that's a problem, You can cross that boundary of.
Is it a problem though? Or is it amazing that you can tell each other to fuck off and then get straight back onto what you need to do?
Well, that's the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. I guess that's what I'm asking. Do you find that as a family dynamic in business of that scale that?
Yeah. Good question. We went through, I don't want to get into it too much, but there was a lot of family conflict between different family members and the brothers in the original company, right? And to see that business at that scale, the way that it was sort of left, even though Cube came in and bought it out, but mate, that was such a strong company that it all sort of started to go down the drain really quick because it was managed really poorly.
Whoa. Let me stop you right there. Did you know that today's podcast is proudly brought to you by BLXCK INK? I've just dropped 6 brand new tees that are a fusion between loving the town that we live in, which is Bunbury, and of course the brand BLXCK INK. You can find all of them on www.blackink.com.au. Link is in the description below. And don't forget that every t-shirt that you purchase, love, and wear is supporting the podcast. So if you love this podcast, support it by buying a t-shirt. Anyway, back to the pod.
So we have been through firsthand as a family, pretty much losing it all and having to restart again, and internal family conflict and what the outcome of that can be. So I think we're in a good position today, as our family structure, 3 generations, to ensure that those same mistakes don't happen again, because we've been through it firsthand.
Yep.
And we know what the outcome of it was. So we're very tight now. We don't have any other influence. Like my uncle, he looks after all of the operations, right? And he stays in that lane. He manages all the operations. My mother, she runs all our family properties and all our, so she stays in that lane, right? And my grandfather, he's like the policeman. He's out there every day checking, and he also runs all of our quarries. So
right,
he's in his lane. So everyone has their own sort of swimming pool that they stay in, and they don't necessarily get involved in other people's stuff unless they really have to. But we're all sort of pulling the same rope in the same direction, and so are our team, which is amazing. And when you grow at scale like we have, you can really start to get some really amazing people in to help you grow as a business. Because we're all limited as people, and sometimes you need people with higher skill sets to come in and help out as well. And we've got some pretty amazing people in that team. That our team's very dynamic at the moment.
Dude, I can't imagine. Like I said, I'm asking out of curiosity because I'm in a position where I don't sit down and daydream about, if I did this and put this together in 10 years, I could have this and it would look like this and these people involved, and I'd hire a marketing and I'd hire a salesperson, I'd hire a print, all these things. You're so far down that road. You know what I mean? You're so far down that road that it's literally mythical to me, you know? So it's such an interesting dynamic to sort of sit back and try and piece together, like, what does that actually look like? Well, what's your Friday dinner look like where everyone's sitting around and you're talking about this conglomerate of a fucking business that you've built over 70 years, you know? Like, I just can't imagine what that is like, you know?
Mate, you don't really switch off too often. So family dinners are usually consumed by work talk, but I mean, you live and you breathe it, right?
Yeah.
But we come from a family, you know, an Italian background. So, mate, our dinners are bloody beautiful, mate.
Yeah, good food.
Loud lots of wine, lots of voice. Yeah, loud voices, lots of swearing and just so much passion, mate. So, mate, I would not have it any other way.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Tell me, do you consider yourself to be creative?
Yep.
Yeah? Would you say you have an active imagination?
Big time. Yeah. Yeah, I my imagination is, I think, really... I need to be stimulated. I need to be working on a big or audacious project, right? Something that feels so unobtainable. That's where I get my drive from. If I don't have something like that on, I'm sort of just, you know, feel like I'm wasting time almost. I need to have something big and so unattainable because, I do believe I think big, Jake, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's one of those things. I believe there's 3 categories of people, right? People who don't think big, people who do think big and don't realize it, and people who do think big and know it. Yeah. You know, and those last 2 really interest me, and especially the transition from not knowing to knowing. You know, I feel like my entire life I have been thinking big, you know, and it's always been like, oh, imagine if, like, what if, like this thing that I keep on bringing up, you know, what happens if we push a little harder, if we wake up an hour earlier, if we push a bit harder in this run or cycle a bit harder up this hill, you know, and it's only just recently where I'm like, oh, this has been in you the whole time. Yeah. You're just starting to fucking pay attention. And
you start to realize when you are pushing it, you know, or you're trying to tackle something that feels so unattainable, and then you get there and you're going, you look back and you're like, shit, okay, well, what's next? What else can I do? Yeah. Right. And you constantly, like, this is how I find for myself. I mean, some of the stuff that I've worked on or put together or been able to achieve, I'm like, what? Yeah. How? And you're like, well, if I can do that trying to do something that is so ridiculously out there that people will probably look at and say, you can't do that. I'm going, why not? Yeah. Why not? Yeah. Because the more that you push and the more that you lean into discomfort, you realize, mate, you generally most of the time you walk out the other end and you either, if you haven't succeeded in it, you've got an amazing lesson out of it. So, but I'm not like, so I think you got to understand how sort of I am and how people are. Everyone is different. So you're either really process driven and, you know, by the book, and you need a set of policies and procedures to sort of stick by, and you sort of stay within that lane. Mate, that is not me. I'm highly disorganized.
Really?
Oh, dude, big time, massively.
Okay.
But I think that comes from creativity as well. Yeah. And thinking big and sort of big picture thinking. Sometimes, you know, to be able to like stick to a certain guide or a lane that you need to stay within, mate, I can't do that. Definitely not. It does not fulfill me at all.
Do you have a passion for novelty?
Probably.
You move your room around a lot when you're a kid?
Probably not, Jake. Nah. I probably get fairly complacent in that space. Not complacent, but nah.
Interesting.
I like novelty in terms of like things that I do in my life and variety and difference, but I don't feel like I need to, you know, I'd probably say my partner is more like that, you know. Okay. She'll move stuff around the house and redesign and reconfigure, and that'll sit there for a month, and then she'll fully chop and change it all again. So
okay, that's what I'm talking about.
But me, I'm more than happy to.
You can use the same pen your entire life.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. And what's so how much of this, all right, the alignment of you finding this spot in the business as a marketer or as accepting that role, and even a bit before that when you went out and did the course, where does she fit into the picture? Was there an alignment of her showing up and you having a realization?
As in Amy, my partner? Yeah. So she's a Melbourne girl, right? Born and raised over there. And actually good friends of ours, Mads and Geordie, introduced me to her back in the day in Melbourne.
Is this when you were on the course?
I I don't know. It wasn't, but I think it was sort of around. It was either before or after.
Okay.
And so it was her birthday, so went to her birthday party one night. She doesn't remember me on that first introduction.
Yeah, of course she doesn't.
Yeah. But I met her, I think, on her 29th birthday, so I would have been 27. And then through COVID, obviously Mads and Geordie were living over there, and Mads and her were working together, and they were really close over there, good mates. And it was through COVID, and I think they must have just dropped the line like, you should probably chat to my friend James. You two would probably get on really well. Yeah. And so I just started, I don't know, firebombing, emojiing, and sending all sorts of emojis on all their posts on Instagram, and like a proper creeper, scrolling really deep down on a photos and liking them just to know
doing the Lord's work.
Just to know I'm checking you out. I'm looking at you. I'm liking what I'm saying. And then it's sort of, that's what happened, mate. And then one day she reached out. It was through COVID, and we developed our whole relationship. We had a long distance relationship based on communication.
So you're here, she's there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we started. We were talking every single day for probably 8-9 weeks, I'd say.
Yeah.
And then it got to the point where she's like, I can't do this anymore. This is I need to meet you. I need to see you in person. Otherwise, I can't keep going down this emotional journey right now. Because we were chatting every day, and we're building this beautiful relationship based on communication. Yeah. So then we had to be very creative with how we would see each other, because states were locking down through COVID. I couldn't just jump on a flight and go and see her. So our first visit where we met was in Sydney. Yep. We stayed at Pier 1 Hotel down by the right by the bridge there, and I got her a room and I got myself a room. Did the full gentleman thing, and
beautiful.
And that's how we kicked it off, mate. We had an amazing weekend in Sydney, a really really special time there, and then it just kept continuing. But through that whole COVID period, there was times where we would plan trips and we would be getting ready to fly out, and borders would lock, and we'd have to wait until we could then see each other again, right? And it got to the point where it like the role that I was in was so physically demanding. I mean, I would have phone calls going off every 2 minutes of the day. I would have a phone call from 4 a.m. to 9 p.m. when I was working in that workshop. And, there'd be times I'd get home and you'd scroll through your call log, and you'd go all the way down the bottom, and the last call you'd get to was at like 3:30 in the afternoon. Right. So it was such a reactive role. And then obviously, having a long distance relationship, they were on daylight savings. So there was 3 hours difference. So it was getting to this point where like mentally I was just like completely frazzled, and we ended up having 14 months apart, and then we were rekindled and got back together once sort of COVID and everything went away. And so she came to WA and we caught up, and I knew from that point, but by that stage I was thinking about her a lot as well. Yeah. When we were having some time apart, and I couldn't seem to really get her off my mind. And then she came.
Usually a good indicator.
Yeah, big time. And then she came to WA one time, surprised, and I always knew she was going to come. And she just rocked up at my house one day, and I got home from work, and there she was. And I knew the day was coming where that was going to happen. But by that stage, I couldn't really switch her off either, mate. And so we spent the weekend together, and then straight away it just felt right, and we spoke and spoke for a couple of months after that, and then decided after New Year's that she was going to move across to WA. Wow. And that's how it happened, and we've been sort of living together for 4 years now, and got a beautiful little dog, and mate, life's good. It's really fun.
Yeah, well, every time I see you, usually walking along the ocean.
Yeah, with little Louie.
Yeah, have a Louie as well.
Yeah.
So cool. Your Louie's a boy, hey?
Yep.
Yeah. I fucking tortured my little girl with the boy's name.
Oh, I did. Yeah. Right. Well, see, my partner tortured my dog by chopping his balls off. So he's been tortured as well, mate.
But yeah, the original query there. What role has she played in your personal development alongside the growth of the business? Yep.
Mate, she's my biggest support. In terms of always backs me. And any time that I'm questioning or have doubt, mate, she's in my corner saying, no, you can do this. Yep. And she's turned our house into a home as well, which is beautiful, mate. And she's Italian background as well, so most nights I come home and there's something beautiful cooking on the stovetop, and it's a great space to walk into a home and feel like you're home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's the foundation outside of work has been a beautiful chapter of my life, mate.
I think that's wealth. I think that's wealth. Having someone who loves you and Riz is like she's gone from like not cooking anything to like getting deep into meals.
Yeah,
obviously living and working together. And actually, I had a clip of one of my podcasts from a couple of weeks ago do really well this morning. It was a clip where I spent 18 months living in a caravan with Riz, and I essentially started the business that you're experiencing now then. And when I started that business, the only parameters I set were I just got to spend as much time with you as possible. Whatever decisions we make, it just has to be so that we can stay together and spend all day, every day together. And now,
but that story, I love it, mate. I love that story of your journey as well, because she was in your corner backing you 100%.
Dude, 100%.
Which is an amazing thing, right?
The thing that I always go back to, and not that I literally have no moments of doubt. It's one of the biggest things. I had like 5-ish serious relationships before this that had moments of doubt. You're like, fuck, I don't have those moments with her. That's a great indication. But if there is any feeling of like anxiety or whatever, I remember the moment I said to her, like, I'm out of money. I need you to support me.
And she was there for you,
like, fuck yeah, do it. Let's go.
But how good is that though?
Dude, it's impossible. It's impossible.
It's rare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now it's like, for all the times that you're wondering how you're going to make ends meet and you're hand to mouth and you're week to week, and it's like, but she's got every meal sorted, and anytime you got a problem, she's like, hey, you and me are going to live another day.
Yeah.
Don't fucking worry about that, them, whatever it is, we got us. That's
all you
fucking
need.
Rich, dude.
Big time.
That's rich. Everything. Yeah, because the Porsche's the icing on the cake. That's the cake.
100%. But wealth isn't measured on how many commas and zeros you got sitting in your bank account. Wealth is purely measured on a mindset.
Yeah.
And how you wake up each day, and have you got purpose, and do you love the people that you're surrounded by, and love the place that you're in. If you can unlock mental wealth like that, it doesn't really matter if you're hand to mouth. Because, mate, I'm hand to mouth as well. But, mate, in my mind, I'm so rich because you can learn to slow down and really appreciate the small things that most people probably aren't looking at. And when you can find fulfillment and joy out of the tiniest things in life, how the sun might be beaming through that tree and how it's sort of the sun glare, and you just stop and you're like, that is bloody beautiful. Yes. Or just having a great conversation with someone, mate. You can be hand to mouth all day, every day, mate.
Yeah.
Mate, there's a lot of rich people that still think poor.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a lot of poor people that think very rich, mate. It's a mindset thing. Wealth is a mindset thing.
You went to BCC?
I went to St. Mary's.
Right.
I was supposed to go to BCC. Mum and Dad obviously departed and split up, and then I got pulled out of that school as I was meant to be going to BCC, and went across to Bunbury Cathedral Grammar.
Oh, really?
But dude, school, the only reason I went to Bunbury Cathedral Grammar is because so we had no house to live in, so me and Mum were living in the back room of my grandparents' house.
Right.
And Mum knew I was going to be a bit of a problem child based on just how I was, mate. I was always jumping off roofs or skateboarding or bike riding, where my brother, on the other hand, was very, writing good grades, and I had poor grades, and he was very book smart, and I was always just like reckless and having fun and loved being in that environment and that space.
Yeah.
So she took me out there, one, because that's where our house was. We're living in the back room with my grandparents on our farm. But also she knew if I was in town, mate, I wasn't going to school. I'd be down the skate park every day.
True. Isolation by fucking...
Yeah.
So interesting. So do you carry any spirituality from that experience?
Spirituality, no, but shit, what a cool life lesson. To go through such heartache and pain at such a young age that then I think has helped shape my resilience, and which I have today.
Yeah.
I'm spiritual in other ways, but definitely not from that moment, no.
Interesting. Would you say you're spiritual in, well, obviously you have a faith in general. You have not faith as in a religious faith. You have a faith of being able to project a possible future outcome that you want and then reel it back in towards you.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and like having faith that it is possible for you.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Look, I also have faith in a higher power or a God, but I don't practice it, or my partner and her family are very Christian, I think it is. Yeah. Very, very Christian and right into the into Lord Jesus Christ and all that sort of thing, and it's
the practices of Christianity.
The practice of Christianity. I'm not doing it justice, but I do think there is something higher than us, and I do believe in something, but probably don't practice it like I should. But as I'm getting older, I'm probably having more interest in it than when I ever have before in my life. So,
do you have ambition to have children?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
yeah. We are sort of under the impression that we could probably go both ways, though. Like if we didn't have kids, we would probably be okay with that.
Yeah.
But I think Amy as well, we're not the type of people that like long, some people just like long for children.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, it's me and her both are not like that. But now that as we're getting older and a few of our friends are having children, and me and her are both starting to transition into that next sort of phase of sure. Like we're right around the corner to that. And the more time we are spending with mates who are having children and the more we're starting to talk about it as well.
Yeah.
So I definitely think it will happen. But yeah, it's just a matter of time, mate. Dude,
I purely believe that everything is timed perfectly. If for whatever reason you catch the red light, that's because you were going to run up the ass of someone ahead
100%.
of you.
Everything happens for a reason. I'm a big believer in that as well. Yeah.
See, that's its total own, that's half a faith.
No, it is, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only ask that question because usually, all right, how's this? Do you have any worry about the end of the world?
No, I used to. No.
How long ago was used to?
Probably a moment when Geordie told me that he would rather go through life being optimistic and wrong versus pessimistic and right.
Yeah.
And once he said that to me, it reframed everything how I looked at it, because I remember I was at his house one time. We watched this documentary about Chernobyl, and I went to the bathroom and we had a few drinks and I probably wasn't really feeling myself. And I went to the bathroom. I started crying. I started freaking out, thinking, Fukushima power station's just melted down recently with the tsunami, and here we are watching this Chernobyl bloody.
Is it coming?
Yeah. And I'm going. I said to Geordie, mate, we're fucked. We're fucked, right? Like, how can we? And Geordie said, Jimbo, you can't go through life like this, mate. And he said that saying to me, and I said, bloody hell, here's someone who has been through it all. Been through a bloody shark attack, witnessed gnarly shit firsthand, and just have that really optimistic mindset.
Yeah.
That you'd rather go through life being optimistic and wrong versus pessimistic and right, because at the end of the day, if you're pessimistic and you're right, it
just sucks life.
You're still right. Like, who cares? So why go through this journey stressing and freaking over something that hasn't happened yet? So when you talk about, am I worried about the end time? Not really, because I love what I do every day.
Yeah.
I have so much fulfillment in what I do.
It's interesting, I think, because I have a very similar trajectory of what you just said. I still have some, there's still, that 1 to 3% that hangs back here that goes, oh, what if, never got to have a kid, never got to.
Same, of course.
But I'm also at a point where, if it all ended now, right now, asteroid, doosh, over. It's been pretty fucking cool so far. It's
been really cool.
It's been right up there, And I started having the thought of, well, let's pretend it's 12 months away. I started having that thought probably about 5, probably about 7, probably about the time I met Riz. And I've just been living to love without any fear of having my heart broken. I've been living to pull that front wheel up as if I'm never going to come off the back of it. I've been running as if I'm never going to run out of breath.
Yep.
And when you live like that, you're like, I'm fucking ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I don't want to be ready, but I am ready.
Yep.
And I think that, as well as, I remember sitting down with a business owner about 3 years ago who, in the past 3 years, I'm not going to disclose who it is, over the past 3 years, he's gone from rich to very fucking rich. I remember saying to him, are you scared of the end of the world? He goes, did you know if I move 5% just 5% increase on one part of my business, I make an extra $1 million this year. Me, personally. That's what I think about instead of the end of the world.
Yeah.
And I was like, brother, fucking chill the fuck out. All right. But then you realize you're like, there are so many things like that's cool. That's cool for him.
Yeah.
And I love that for him. But there is so much things that you can think about.
Yeah.
And then you're in control.
Yeah.
You know, and it actually it actually is. The things that you think about are the things that you receive.
Yes.
If you think about the sun coming through the tree being awesome, that's for you.
Yeah.
That's your gift.
Big time.
For you.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking about the end of the world, as you say, right or wrong,
that's your gift.
Your world is going to end.
Correct.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like that whole self-perception, self-belief, fuck, I might be the man, I am the man.
Yeah.
That's real.
I try not to go through this life worrying about stuff that hasn't happened yet. And I feel like I've got a pretty good balance on it. You know, some people might question and say, well, hang on, what about this example, right?
Yeah,
you didn't exercise it there. But in general, I feel like I go through life like not really too concerned about things that haven't happened yet. Because once those things happen, we'll just deal with it then. Just deal with it then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you, when you were like a boy, like, you know, say 5 to 15, did you do the thing where you thought of every bad possible outcome for every situation?
Mate, I was thinking about skateboarding. That's all I wanted to do. I was only skateboarding consumed every thought of my being when I was a kid. Everything.
Okay.
But I tell you one thing: if I was in the water right now and I was swimming or I was going surfing, mate, all I'm thinking about is sharks, right? So that's all I'm thinking about, mate. Yeah. Or if I'm walking through a paddock and the bloody grass is above my ankles, mate, all I'm thinking about is snakes. Yep. So those two things in my life are probably the things that I hang on to that haven't happened yet. Yep. And potentially aren't going to happen, but drive huge fear in me. Snakes and sharks. Anything else, I'm pretty good, mate. I don't really think of anything else.
The rule of numbers, though, dude. We live in Australia and it's hot. There's going to be snakes at some point, you know?
So they're probably only the two things that I really fear in life, and that's it.
Yeah. Wow.
Things that haven't happened.
I think we've covered 98% of the shit that matters.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Now, you asked me the question about Porsches. Have you got any questions for me outside of that?
In regards to cars?
Anything. I find that I think it was Geordie was the first one. He like at the end of an episode once, he's like, all right, I got some questions for you.
Okay. And he came prepared.
Dude, and now I throw it out at the end of the conversation just in case there are some there that you've forgotten that you wanted to ask.
So what's next for you in the business sense?
Dude, what's next for me? I love doing this. This is like, I fucking hang out for this. I want to monetize the shit out of this. I want to get Black Ink as a brand back up and doing its thing. And I want that to, I think the face of that isn't necessarily having stuff with Black Ink on it. I think it's doing collaborative things.
With good people.
With good people, with good businesses. I think my view has always been before you're a master, you're an apprentice. And I feel like my apprenticeship, I've done the majority of it now. I've always looked at going, don't worry about taking over WA or Australia or the world, just take over Bunbury.
Focus over here, yep.
And I think I've got to a point now where if I wanted to extend that scope a little, I could, and I could manage it and I could execute it well. I think the future for us the next 12 months is experimenting with that idea and just like continuing to grow in the right direction and learn in the right direction and just continue to say no to more things so you can say yes to the right things. I think the 5-year plans looks like doing this a lot more. And potentially, you know, creating more space in my life for lifestyle things like having a kid.
For sure.
Like getting back all the time that I've invested into this business so far. Like between you, me and the audience, I've had a pretty severe case of like burnout over the past
well, dude, you're pushing very hard in it.
So hard.
Yeah, but also it's paying off as well, though, mate. I mean, look at where you've come from to where you are today, and look at your ability to have really engaging conversations with people, mate. Like communication is a skill in itself, and mate, you do it effortlessly, and you have some great conversations with really good people.
This doesn't burn me out.
Yeah,
this is the easy part.
Yeah, but everything, mate, what you have created as a person here in Bunbury, mate, is very, you know, it's very not insightful. It's, you know what I mean? It's something that people can look at and inspire from, mate, eh?
Thank you.
But it means showing up every day and working hard and being consistent. I think there's a lot of people. Sorry, just quickly. I think there's a lot of people that look for instant gratification and want the end goal straight away, and aren't willing to make the sacrifice and work hard. And if you look at most businesses today, except for like sort of tech businesses, mate, they all require a lot of work and a lot of dedication, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of risk. You know, you gotta be willing to put it all on the line, mate. Eh?
Well, that's the thing. You know, a little thing that I look at. Right, we've been trying for a baby for 8 months, 9 months, right, and every 21 days or whatever it is, you get an indication of whether you're successful or not, right? So that is our metric. I've been trying to make this business work for 60-something months, and your indication is whether you can do it for one more week.
Yes.
Right? Yep. Because at any point, you can get the email or that call or the printer or the
shit
house.
Itself, whatever.
Dude, see that electrical PowerPoint just there?
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah. So I caught my fucking dryer smoking. That was smoking. Black smoke heading from the PowerPoint up to the ceiling.
In this house or the old one?
In the workshop. Right? Had I caught that fucking 2 minutes later, different story.
Dude, that's wild.
Right?
And could have lost it all.
Could have lost it all. Could have lost it all in an hour.
And then you're back starting from square one, but probably with less motivation.
Dude, I'm driving quads for MGM up in Port Hedland, right?
Mate, you're coming to work in the marketing department, mate. Don't worry about driving.
This is the thing. Like, I look at it as like I'm 60-something months into this, and the hard work part of it is actually effortless. Like, I wake up 5 minutes before my alarm every day, and I'm fucking hanging out.
Ready to go.
I'm like, we got this. I built the camera, I got an email. I got ads starting tonight. I got this. I'm excited for it. The weird contrasting part about it is, if you take where I am right now and go back 5 years and say, this is where you're going to be in 5 years, I wouldn't fucking believe it.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Like, how green is the grass, you know? At the same time, I remember probably 3 years ago going like, in 12 months time, we'll have steady cash flow. We'll be fine. You know, we'll be out of the majority of the debt that we're in. But the reality is it's fucking even worse than what it was 3 years ago.
Yeah, because you keep growing and you keep investing and you keep putting it into infrastructure.
Dude, you make $1 and you spend $2.
Yeah, dude, cameras, mics, lights, like.
It never stops.
Yeah, dude.
It never stops. So I think thank you for your kind words. The burnout element of it is, you know, like 2 weeks ago, the Three Waters Marathon thing comes out, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to do the fucking best 10K I can. And Riz is like, you're a pussy, do the marathon. I'm like,
did you end up doing it?
Yeah, so I've now signed up for the marathon, and I'm now running fucking 40 kilometers a week.
Yeah, sick.
Right? So where it's normally the mental expenditure of business, the physical expenditure of riding my bike a couple of times a week and going for a skate, and then the spiritual expenditure of being there for your mum and your dad and calling your grandma and doing these things, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, well, this physical, we're going to double that, right? And also Riz is doing stuff on the weekend, so now I'm working all weekend as well. So now we're on like a 45-day kill streak of 12-hour days.
Yeah.
And I'm doing a 16K on Sunday. I'm doing a 5K tempo that I did a PB on Wednesday.
But the question is, would you change any of it?
No. I'm happier now as far as the output is concerned. My central nervous system hates me.
Yeah, starting to feel it. Yeah, of course.
And I think there's there's an element of you've got to like... I can't think of the correct metaphor. To become the person that I want to be, I have to adjust to this new level of discomfort to be able to be comfortable when I get there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you want to get fitter, you have to train harder. Right? And that applies to business. That applies to life. That applies to being a partner and a father and a you know? So it's like right now, this whole readjusting to like even being able to do a 12-hour day in front of a computer, I couldn't do that 5 years ago. You know, that is... To someone who doesn't do that, you get like, oh, it must be terrible. It's pretty fucking hard.
Yeah. Because mentally it's quite draining.
Yeah.
Not physically, mentally.
You just click. You think it's easy, and then you get a problem where like, how come this fucking embedded thing in my website doesn't work? And now I've got to ask ChatGPT and YouTube, and no one has an answer. And what the fuck is this problem?
Yeah, but we're going to figure it out. Because you've got no option to. You have to.
Yeah. But no, as far as the original question, where is this going? It's continuing to grow in these parameters of being here with my missus, having fun, enjoying life, running a sub 3:15 marathon on the 12th of April.
Good.
And fucking podcasting, dude.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Mate, great future ahead.
How exciting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
Been fun, brother. Been really fun. I've enjoyed it.
I'm excited to get this to the people too. This is a good one.
Done,
All right, guys,
brother.
be good to
Done.
your mum because we're fucking out.